All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ashish Kulkarni, and in these videos, the first of which is the one that you're looking at right now, I'm going to try and teach you guys how to use Microsoft Excel to do a whole variety of things. In today's class, we're going to learn how to use Microsoft Excel to build a Cobb-Douglas production function. Now, if you're watching this video and have not been tortured with classes on economics, don't worry. I'll also explain what the Cobb-Douglas production function is. And of course, if you're familiar with economics and have been taught the Cobb-Douglas production function, then this just becomes a simple video that you watch more to learn Excel than to learn about economics. Before you begin watching this video, a couple of things. It might work best if you watch this video on a phone and try to follow along on a laptop or a desktop using Microsoft Excel. Of course, the preference is yours, but doing so might make it easier for you to follow along. Also, a couple of tips and tricks that I find very useful, so I'll just quickly share them with you. If you're watching a video on YouTube on your phone, if you double tap the screen where the video is playing towards the right, the video moves forward by 10 seconds. And if you do so on the left, the video moves back by 10 seconds. If you're watching this on the laptop or on a computer, then the key L for London, on the keyboard moves the video forward by 10 seconds, and the key J for Joker, moves it back by 10 seconds. Alright, all of that being said, let's get started with the Cobb-Douglas production function. What is a Cobb-Douglas production function? Here is what the Cobb-Douglas production function is. The Cobb-Douglas production function looks like this. What does it say? It says output is a combination of three things, A, L and K. L raised to beta and K raised to alpha. We'll get to beta and alpha in just a little while. Think of it this way. This video that I am preparing right now is me standing in front of a computer and speaking into a microphone. That's labor. The fact that I'm providing my labor for making this video. And I'm speaking into a microphone, I'm using a laptop, and that's my capital. So labor and capital are being combined in order to generate an output. What is A? Think of A as ideas, different ways to make this particular video. If instead of me, somebody else was making this video, they might have done a better or a worse job, but they almost certainly would have done a different job because they had different ideas about how to create this video. That's where A comes into play. So when you combine ideas and labor and capital in some form, that generates some sort of output. What is beta and what is alpha? If you take a look at what is visible on your screen right now, alpha and beta are referred to as output elasticities of capital and labor. But if I were to simplify this, basically what I'm saying is it is the intensity with which labor and capital enter into the production function. And effectively what that means is, this is a decent enough example. If alpha were to be equal to 0.45, then a 1% increase in capital usage will lead to approximately 0.45% increase in output. Alright, all of that being said, what we're going to try and do now is generate the Cobb-Douglas production function for a variety of scenarios using Microsoft Excel. In Microsoft Excel, I'm going to assume that you guys know the basics. So you know what a sheet is, you know what rows and columns are, you know how to enter a formula by entering the is equal to sign, for example, and all of these things are already familiar to you. So I won't get into all of that. I'll assume all of that is known and begin accordingly. So we have to have some value of A, we have to have some value of alpha, and we have to have some value of beta. And these values of A, alpha and beta, for the moment, let's go with 10, 0.5, and no particular reason if you're not an economist, but over here I'm just going to assume that beta is equal to 1 minus whatever the value of alpha is. In this case, of course, it'll end up being 0.5. Okay, now let's try and generate a small, simple, but as we'll find out, immensely interesting table over here, in which I will enter capital along the rows. So 1 unit of capital, 2 units of capital, and so on and so forth. If you follow the directions that I'm about to give you right now, you will learn how to autofill series. If I enter 1 and 2, and then move the cursor towards the lower right of my selection so that it changes into a thick black arrow. You can see how it changes into a thick black arrow now, and then drag it down. I get the series autofilled, and I can do something similar over here as well. 2 and 3, and then I autofill the series out towards the right. Okay, cool. So we've got a table in which we have capital and labor. Now I use the example of I making this video, but you can also think of, say, for example, somebody making Hakka noodles for dinner tonight, where we are using only one wok, two woks, three woks, or 10 woks. A wok is a Chinese vessel that is used to make noodles. And along with the number of machines or the woks, we have the number of cooks, one cook, two cook, three cooks, and so on and so forth. So say for example, when I'm over here, it means that 5 machines are being combined with 5 cooks. If I'm over here, then it means that 10 machines are being combined with one cook, and so on and so forth. So that's what this table means. How do I use this table to generate the output? Very simple. Over here, I might write something along the lines of this multiplied by the number of machines that we are using raised to its intensity multiplied by the number of laborers that I'm using raised to its intensity. Yeah. And just to be on the safe side, shouldn't be a problem, but you can never be too safe. I'm going to include these terms in parentheses or brackets so that there is no confusion and so that I minimize chances of BODMAS related errors. Cool. So when I combine one cook and one wok with a capital intensity of 0.5 and labor intensity of 0.5 and A or total factor productivity of 10, I get an output of 10. Can I copy this formula and fill out the entire table? In theory, I should be able to, but things are clearly not working. What seems to be happening is if I retain the use of only one unit of labor, but I double the amount of machines, output seems to drop drastically. Obviously, there is an error. What might that error be? Let's take a look. There's a problem. The problem is when I copied the formula from here to here, unfortunately, what Excel decided to do is Excel decided to copy the inputs one cell below as well. 1 became 2, which is great, but this one should have remained 1. It should not have now become 10. Similarly, 10 should have remained 10, 0.5 should have remained 0.5, and 0.5 should have remained 0.5. But that unfortunately ended up not being the case. Everything has moved one cell below. If this did not make sense to you, feel free to take the video back about 30 to 40 seconds and you should be able to hear the explanation once again. Very quickly, what has happened is I have moved one cell below. Unfortunately, all inputs have also moved one cell below. So I need a way to tell Excel that, boss, if the inputs stay where they are when I copy the formula downwards, that will be great. How to tell Excel to do this? Very simple. What I do is I click once on C2 so that the cursor is active on the cell reference C2, and then I use something known as constant cell references. So if I press F4 on my keyboard while this cell is being edited on C2, then I get a $sign before C and a $sign before 2. A $sign before C is me telling Microsoft Excel that this cell can't move left or right. C can't become B, C can't become D. So this cell stays exactly where it is, no matter where I copy the formula. Similarly, I want the alpha cell reference to stay exactly the same. So I repeat this exercise. And I want the beta cell reference to also stay the same. And so I repeat the exercise. But there are a couple of problems. The red rectangle, which is cell D8, and the green rectangle, which is cell E7. What are the problems? The problems are I want D8 to move up and down because I want 1 to become 2 and 2 to become 3 and 3 to become 4 and so on and so forth. But I do not want this moving left and right. Similarly, in this case, in this cell, what I want is the cell should be able to move right. 1 should become 2, 2 should become 3 when I copy the formula across the columns. But I don't want the green cell to move down. This is possible to do in Microsoft Excel. I just need to press F4 repeatedly until I get the result that I want. And now I get the result that I want. The result being D stays where it is, but 8 is free to change. Pressing the F4 key repeatedly allows me to cycle between no constant cell references, full constant cell references. The column can move, but the row cannot. Or the row can move, but the column cannot. And in this case, this is exactly what I want. I want the row to move, so there should be no $ before 8. However, I do not want D to move. D should always remain D. And can you guess what I should do over here? Should it be $E7? Should it be E$7? Or should it be something else? Think about it for a minute and you will realize that it should be not $E$7, E$7. So I don't want the row to move, but I do want the columns to move, which is exactly what is happening here. So quick recap, this cell doesn't move. In this case, the column doesn't move, but the row can move. Nothing moves. The column can move, but the row can't move. Neither the row nor the column can move. The answer doesn't change, but what happens is when I copy the formula down, I get the result that I wanted. Now, because I have edited this particular formula so carefully, the magical part is I can copy this, select the entire table, and I filled out all the outputs possible under a given Cobb-Douglas production function. If I were to combine one machine with 6 cooks, I can make 24 plates of Hakka noodles. Similarly, if I combine one cook with 6 machines, I get 24.49 Hakka noodles. So as you can see, these entries are always going to be exactly the same. All such entries, in fact. So if you can see 22.36, 22.36, 31.628, 31.628 or whatever that number is, and so on and so forth. However, if I were to change this particular number, say I were to make this 0.6, then this number becomes 0.4, but much more importantly, what has happened in this case is because this is 0.6, this number is now 39, this number is now 25. And what that means in practice is, if labor goes on increasing from 1 to 10, output will not increase quite as much. It will go from 10 to 25. So I've increased labor by a factor of 10. I have gone from 1 to 10, but output has gone up by a factor of only 2.5, from 10 to 25. However, if I increase machines or capital from 1 through 10, output goes up from 10 to 40. कैपिटल अगर 10 गुना बढ़ाया तो आउटपुट क्वाड्रुपल कर जाता है. लेबर अगर 10 गुना बढ़ाया तो आउटपुट 2.5 टाइम्स बढ़ जाता है. I'll say that in English once again. If I were to 10x my machines, then output goes up by a factor of 4. If I were to 10x my labor, then output goes up by a factor of only 2.5. Why? Because this number is 0.6, which is associated with capital. This number is 0.4, which is associated with labor. What if I were to make the story more extreme? What if this were to be 0.9? Then when I 10x machines, output goes up by 8x. But if I 10x labor, keeping machines at only 1, then output barely budges. If I were to make this 0.99999, then for all intents and purposes, when I 10x capital, output goes up by nearly 10x. If I were to 10x labor, output barely changes. Now let's go back to 0.5 and let's try and create a simple chart. So I go to insert, I go to line charts, and this is what my chart looks like right now. This is for labor. If I make labor relatively less important, then output barely changes. When I 10x labor, I go from 1 labor input to 10 labor inputs, right? And if I were to make labor much more important, so I were to make this 0.01, wow, then it's an almost straight line where labor is concerned. When I 10x labor, output also goes up by a factor of almost 10, 97.72372. That's the simplest way possible to generate a Cobb-Douglas production function using nothing more complicated than Microsoft Excel. In the next video, I'll tell you how to beautify the sheet and use a couple of really cool tricks in Microsoft Excel to animate this process as much as possible. If you have learned the Cobb-Douglas production function, have fun playing around with different values over here and try and see what happens if alpha plus beta is in fact not equal to 1. As always, please let me know of your thoughts and comments in the either in the comment section below, or feel free to drop me a mail at ashish@econforeverybody.com. Thank you so much for listening, and catch you in the next video.